So you do have to wonder. So you do have to ask yourself, is it possible?
And I say, yes.
Ancient action figure prophecies foretold.
Is it indeed possible?
Welcome to another episode of the Market Value Chart Show. Right here, baby, at the 6-scale cantina. And listen, maybe you don't know just what time it is, baby. But last I checked, we are marching right into May 4th weekend. And you have to wonder, is it possible that we are going to get blown away and that what they call me is going to come to pass in not only one way, 2 ways, 3 ways, 4 ways, or 5 ways, maybe 6, maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe 9, maybe 10, maybe 12, maybe 24
They
releases?
The Wizard.
Legend Lane, I am so psyched. Everyone in the chat, I am so pumped for this week's live episode of the Market Show, because the next time, Lane, that we go live, it is going to be May 4th, I believe. Isn't that next Sunday?
Yes.
Gosh, and who better to be live on May 4th than the 6-scale Mick Cantina? I am just pumped up. I know you just came from the 20th anniversary of a very special movie, and I think it was this one right here.
I'm Boba Fett. I'm here to see the mayor. Boba Fett. Do you have an appointment?
Well, I mean, technically, you're not 100% wrong. I mean, there were a lot of Boba Fetts running around in that movie all over the place.
Yeah. But how'd you like it? How'd you like it for? And welcome everybody here to the Market Show Live. It is the Dark Jedi, and it is Legend Lane. And Lane just came back from seeing the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So how was it for the 50,000th time? Was it any different? Was it better? Talk to me.
No, I mean, it's probably been a couple years since I last watched the movies. It's probably at least 3 or 4. But I haven't seen it in a movie theater setting since, I saw it originally back in 2005. So
yeah.
It was,
and I must have seen it, Lane, with my wife, because my kids were really, really, really young. I mean, they were just, babies, basically. But we saw that at least 30 times. I'm not kidding you. We would go like a couple of times a week and just hang out.
Yeah, it's. I will say, because, I've told you before, my favorite Star Wars movie is not necessarily the best Star Wars movie, but my favorite Star Wars movie was Return of the Jedi, because that was the conclusion.
No, you're lying. It was this one, Lane.
See, I like he pulls out the movie I said I hate worse than the Phantom Menace. But I will have to say, after watching this, Revenge of the Sith was probably like, third or so, like behind Empire and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think after watching Revenge of the Sith, for favorite, not best movie, but I think maybe my favorite, Revenge of the Sith might be my favorite Star Wars movie now, because again, there's still plenty of storytelling.
It's so good.
Yeah, there's still storytelling. That's why I'm not saying it's the best, like maybe best made Star Wars movie, because like Empire still probably has the best story and all that, and how it's put together. But Revenge of the Sith is kind of being the kind of the conclusion of Anakin Skywalker.
It's epic. It's epic.
Yeah.
I mean, from the
end of his
beginning.
story, and it's being a linchpin now to,
well,
because it was told backwards, it allowed you to see the linchpin for setting in motion the events of the original Star Wars trilogy.
Well, not only that, but just what happens in that movie, Lane. Yeah, it's the linchpin. You know, it ties in, the original trilogy, right? Everyone was waiting back then for the return of the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader. But goodness gracious, when they executed Order 66 and you actually saw what happened, I mean, you were just, people were in the movie theaters. I still remember, you were just like in awe. You were stunned, baby.
Yeah.
And every time I see it now, I'm sure if you were sitting there during that whole part, that you were just like, wow, this thing is just as good today.
And the thing is, now it's funny is when I watched it like this most recent time, I could feel more of almost the green screen a little bit, just because it's become so common and used in everything, where I noticed it a little bit more, especially, or maybe more even Attack of the Clones than even like Revenge of the Sith. But the one thing I'll say that they couldn't, even in the original, just because of technology wasn't where it needed to be yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the scale of like the space battle for Return of the Jedi, I think, for emotional investment, music, and
that was Admiral Ackbar. It's a trap.
But because of what CGI at the time and everything, and Lucas finally refined his use of it a little bit over that trilogy. See the opening space battles, Coruscant, just giving you some scale and stuff.
Dude, that opening space battle, though.
I mean, like literally like Mass Effect 3, for it's showing the opening like final big space battle between the Reapers and all the other aliens coming together. Literally, there are some shots where you can look like flying, where Anakin, like you reuse some of those shots, giving scale to the battle. Like I was like, God, I was like watching, I'm like, boy, this does actually remind me of the Reapers and stuff like that from that game, what they used for the big push for the final mission and stuff to fight and try and defeat the 100-foot tall giant living spaceship trying to annihilate.
Well, the graphics for that, I mean, it was just, I think it still holds today.
Oh yeah.
I mean, my God. But listen, it was just, when you saw this part, I'm sure you were thinking about reserving your table at 66.
Good.
But the big thing for me, what I think helped with this too, now we've had 20 years, I know, but where we've had stuff like Clone Wars, where makes us care about the clones, and whether you like it 100% or not, like giving some of the expanded universe stuff that is officially canon, like Clone Wars, or even having like the Ahsoka thing, like the last 4 episodes of Ahsoka, that kind of help fill out. We're showing where we got to see just little bits and pieces of the movie, but like you see the turn on Mandalore, and giving some more narrative around the galaxy when this is not just clones running up and blasting the individual Jedi, kind of. You got a little bit more scale of this through some of that other media, or even with Grogu and the Battle of the Temple. Not all of it has been perfect, but I think having some of that stuff, like you care now. I've seen Plo Koon as a character in Clone Wars.
Some of those TV shows, though.
Yeah.
When you talk with the I mean, how much money they invest in the Ahsoka series for, oh my God.
And they spent more money on that than they spent on making Revenge of the Sith.
Listen, dude, though. I cannot wait, because when you're talking about 20th anniversary, right? And there is also, the 10th anniversary this year of The Force Awakens. We can't forget about that. And the 10th anniversary coming up next year for Rogue One. And don't forget those sequels. Don't forget those sequels, Lane. They generated $4 billion, which is quite a lot of money. And I think that you may be getting both of these guys very, very quickly.
Okay, stay calm, stay calm.
I think, unfortunately, in that
Yeah.
case, the 13th skull might have been feeding you some false information.
Yeah,
but-
no, you had to mention his name. I don't know.
In relating this to figures,
You know what though, Lane? I'll still never forget. I'm sitting in there with my 3 daughters and my wife, my family, okay, watching The Force Awakens for the first screening, and I absolutely spilled all my coffee because I was waiting for that day for years. Sure, we know The Last Jedi happened after that, and we know The Rise of Skywalker. And look, I love the sequel trilogy. I just don't like what they did with Luke, but with The Force Awakens, oh my god, dude. I absolutely just did this.
well,
And
unfortunately,
I mean, it was look, even remember this, Lane.
Oh, really? You're cold?
I know.
Return of Han Solo, Chewbacca, the return of Luke at the end. We didn't know he was going to throw his damn lightsaber over the Empire State Building, okay? And then the return of Leia, and it was just like, oh, too bad they could have bring the 3 of them in together, right? Like just all at once. Why didn't they do that?
That's maybe the biggest problem with the sequel. Or at least, and let me correct that a little bit more. I think with the Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker was just a mess. Like there's no ifs or buts. That movie from the making of that movie just was a mess from the beginning. There, but it's not a story really. Last Jedi tried to tell a weird story that either it was gonna that movie had to be because it was trying to kind of like you say go against the grain kind of expectation for Star Wars movie or story. That had to be like as good as maybe Empire Strikes Back. Like everything in that movie had to work right, and unfortunately for that movie, a lot of stuff didn't work right, or you were left going, "Why is this in the movie?" Like a Canto Bite. Like, dude, I need that.
And I'm going to say, listen, everybody who's watching, you're watching the Market Show live. While you're going in there watching it, ask Legend Lane and ask the Dark Jedi anything about what's going on in the secondary market, anything that was gone ahead and released or unveiled by Hot Toys, like a million things over the last couple of weeks.
that are going to be still
any questions about? I think we haven't even scratched the surface, because if you look at what they did last year, and you're looking at where they're going now, and you got May 4th, we're going to talk a lot about that. But go ahead as you're chatting in there, ask us anything, say hi, let me know what table you're at, and Legend Lane and I will go ahead and we'll fill you up, baby. And while you're at it, typing in your questions, smash that like button right now. We already got 34 in here. Let's get up to 34 likes. And Mitchell's in here. What's going on? What table are you at, Mitchell? And he asks, isn't the 45th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back this October? I feel like I thought it was another year away, but maybe I'm crazy late. Let me know, somebody in the chat. Maybe you're right, Mitchell. What's that? It came out in 1980, right? So then I guess it would be. Wouldn't this be then the 45th anniversary?
What is it? Because was it in 2019 originally when like the Boba Fett and Darth Vader 40th and all that stuff was down? Because those have been out for now a few years.
They've been out for a few years. You know what? I actually think that's right. I actually think it is the 45th anniversary. And listen, anything, Mitchell. And again, everybody, ask your comments, say hi, let me know what table you're at. Anything, any excuse to put out more figures with some kind of branding. Howard is going to do this, baby.
Fun watching that in context and everything. Since in actual context, that is if he is having fun with his little green friend, which you have to ask yourself, Wade, is it possible that we are going to get, which they have kind of already teased, baby, the little green friend? Because when they went ahead and showed those pictures last year of the upcoming Darth Sidious from Revenge of the Sith, was there a little green friend? Now, you could go ahead and assume
It was just the Attack of the Clones version, and Hot Toys went ahead and just turned his, back around so you wouldn't see it. But it was a clear indication that they were showing you, hey, baby, you buy. You go ahead right now, everybody. As Howard is saying, and you buy my Darth Sidious, and I'll go ahead and give you my little green friend in 2025.
And
actually think, Lane, that's one of my calls. I'm going to say it right now. One of the Wizards' calls for May the 4th is a Revenge of the Sith Yoda, and that will be the one too. I guess the third prequels release, because you've already got the one released twice. Basically, the Attack of the Clones. So you're going to get your first Revenge of the Sith. But here's going to be the difference. This one on May 4th weekend for our little green friend is going to have rolling eyes function. It's going to have wool hair, whether it's implanted or not. They're going to say it's wool fabric for sure, and
Something
you're going
like-
to have LED light up. So it's going to be yes. You're going to have.
I mean that's if they didn't, people would be asking why doesn't it have LED light up at this point? Because like every other lightsaber wielder is at it.
And Charlie is in the house, and he says, "Yeah, Charlie, welcome in here. We're going to get to all of you again. Ask Legend Lane any question. We're talking May 4th. It's just in a handful of days and a couple of handfuls of days. And look, they gave us Grievous last year, chat. Okay, from Revenge of the Sith. They gave us Darth Sidious last year from Revenge of the Sith. What are they going to give us on May 4th? One of my calls is Revenge of the Sith Yoda, rolling eyes function, wool hair. Whether they would dare call it Artisan or not is going to be funny, Lane. But we'd have to see. Oh, listen. All I'm going to say is, I know you're saying no. But they have already called certain DXs that aren't DXs DX.
I think
I don't believe you all the way. I think that they could do it because that's their track record to do weird things.
Well, I mean, the Darth Vader Sith Apprentice, that was kind of a weird release, at least naming wise and stuff for it. Because we were going, who and what exactly at first when we saw it. I think Yoda could make sense because it's a relatively, at the end of the day, unfortunately, a lot of times we're going to say with Hot Toys, they're going to make what is easy and sometimes lazy easy for them to do. Yoda and Yoda would be, because they literally just need to take the base Attack of the Clones. There's not a big difference. I mean, even CGI wise, from Attack of the Clones to that's an easy
buddy. Easy, buddy.
I was going to say kind of along those lines, because I was going to ask you just to think about it here for a little bit for Revenge of the Sith, because I'm wondering this week with actually how many we are going to go. I'm not that I still think for 20th anniversary, but May the 4th is I am wondering a little bit because they have not put up the 3 of the exclusives that are coming here from Celebration and stuff.
Yeah, but it says coming soon. Everything except the DX. Everything except the DX47.
Did you hear about what happened?
Coming soon on Sideshow. So even Sideshow teased this freaking Maul Sith Apprentice.
Yeah.
So they are coming, and 100%, you mark my words, from the Dark Jedi. I have heard from the 13th Skull that the Sith Apprentice DX47 Anakin is going to be going up on Sideshow. How many? I don't know. It may just be 3 of them. Okay, it may just be when Sideshow does their live shows, Lane. You know how like sometimes they give away a figure. They may be like, "Hey, we're going to give away one." So you see, Sideshow will give away one of the Japan exclusives, but they are going to get their hands on it. It's just a question, Lane, how many?
Well, did you hear kind of what had happened with for Hot Toys directly? Because for Hong Kong, they were getting alleged. I don't know if it's accurate, that layout that had been kind of going around. They had like 500 for Hong Kong, 300 for China, whatever. The breakdown.
Yeah.
So supposedly, for some people in Hong Kong, just to kind of put it in context for still even quote, and I'm going to put in quotes here, the regular Darth Vader, not even
The regular Darth Vader.
celebration.
Okay.
Yeah, is Hot Toys was putting up online thing to go reserve for where you could come to get the pre-order or pick up the figure. And apparently the demand out there now, of course, there's a whole different thing with that we have to wonder about. Caused the website to crash. Caused the website to crash.
Here's the thing. Look, Star Wars is getting more and more popular in China because of the Mandalorian and Grogu. It's been happening since then. Now, here's what's happened. Since the Mandalorian and Grogu's been on a hiatus since season 3, obviously everything's kind of leveled off, even here in the United States and across the world. Now, after Celebration, Star Wars is on that incline because everybody knows you're going to be getting not only television content, but you're going to be getting movie content over and over again. But Star Wars was never small in Japan. So sometimes people confuse that. They confuse small in China. It may be small in Shanghai. It ain't too small in Tokyo, though. Okay, Japan is popular. Star Wars is popular over there. But real quick here, hello, everyone. So we're trying to get to everybody in the chat. Eric Henke, who is an official Cantina channel member, an official ancient action figure theorist of 6 scale Cantina, said, hello, everyone. Sold my Attack of the Clones Yoda. Yeah, well, I know why you did, Eric. The same reason why I did. I also sold my Attack of the Clones Yoda because I'm going to be getting one with rolling eyes function, probably wool hair fabric, LED light up base, and who knows what else. Probably a better base from the Revenge of the Sith. Listen, everything's getting 2.0'd. Everything. So I'm not holding on to it. You could hold on to your DX11 Joker. Unfortunately, even in 30 years, it's not going to have any value compared to the in-art one that came out compared to the new Hot Toys one. It's the same thing with the old Terminators, the DX10 lane, all those DX13s. The same thing with the DX16 Maul. You could try to love it. You could try and convince yourself it's going to be worth 10 grand. The DX16 and 17 in 20 years, it's just not. The new Maul lane is in every way a better representation of Ray Parks. And I don't know, listen, this is what's happening. At everyone's buying it, and Howard's doing this. It just is. So hello here to Eric Henke for sure. Let's go ahead and see everybody else is in here. Single Songwriter is in the house today. Welcome to the Cantina. Let me know what table you're at, Songwriter. Songwriter has put in here, Dooku is inevitable. You know, that's another call that I have, Lane. You're going to laugh. How are people going to feel on a May 4th weekend if we get a ton of 2.0s?
My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count.
Good. Twice the pride, double the fall.
And here's the thing, Lane. I'm not just throwing characters out here. I have some method to my madness. It's just about the timing for Dooku to be 2.0, just right after the regular Anakin and the dark side Anakin, when you look at the timing of those original releases. But what goes with the new Sith Apprentice DX47? What goes, Lane, with the DX34 Anakin? Dooku goes right with that. And what also goes with the new Darth Sidious, the Yoda, and then they also just teased Palpatine, which also goes with Dooku. Finish him or kill him. You know, from the beginning, you just saw the movie. I'm thinking that they're going to give a wave of demand, so people will get a new Dooku, just like you got a new Anakin, a new Yoda, just like you got a new Sith Apprentice Anakin. So I actually think the single songwriter is onto something, Lane. What do you think?
I mean, he's one of the characters I think that people would be interested in. I'm kind of wondering if they might do because they're in a exclusive model since like last year. They are.
Well, because listen. I'm going to show you a brand new Mark 85. You know how freaking good Iron Man is and that figure. sold for $167.
Yep.
Okay.
And even before that, Mark 50. That's been a one.
But I mean, just sold
sold
yesterday. 167. How do you explain that? They're not falling into that again. Because if you
Yeah.
can't even get that in a secondary market, Sideshow is probably having a hard time getting rid of them.
Mm-hmm. So that, and Hot Toys still has to pay attention with partners and stuff like that too. But yeah, Doku would be. I'm interested to see for the May the 4th. What will be general release, or will they be more exclusive focused? Whatever it's going to be, Revenge of the 20th, or just whatever figures they might have. Like what I would like to see them. I mean, we can talk about too. What could be exclusive now and then general later. Hello, Range Trooper. I'm looking at you.
We're going to go over that Range
yeah.
Trooper. Yeah, it's the market show, so we got to put that up. That was that a little too soon? Too soon? You know, we're going to get
honestly,
get into that.
For it could be a little bit, but it's still not like it's not like the Mandalorian figure where they had the
real quick. Let's get this back to Mike with Taurus. What is going on, Mike? Happy to see you here today. 51 in here. Send Legend Lane any of your questions right now. Send me any of your questions. We haven't even played the intro yet. What the hell is your May 4th weekend prediction? Look,
like
you got to go by last year.
Yeah.
Whether it's if you don't even think they're going to do Star Wars, then we're going to get Iron Man, and we're going to get Christian Bale Batman, and we're going to get a ton of Marvel and a ton of DC. We're getting a ton of something over the next 2 weeks, Slade. I would think it's Star Wars, but we're going to get it because that's what they did last year.
If I would say for something where if you said something that came last year, and maybe a little bit, maybe could be like a new figure. And I'm going to compare this to like we got the Droideka last year. That's one probably most people did not think we would ever see. Now, would we have traded that for like getting episode 1 Obi-Wan or something like that? Yeah. But that was something completely new that they did, which, we're hoping they might have more opportunity down the road to reuse that mold. But I think what we could see, because we got General Grievous last year, maybe like if you put for my kind of maybe a little bit out there release could be a general release pre-order, the Magna Guard.
Oh, yeah, that could happen. Or, I think also, Lane, that is very, very...
Don't be afraid of who you are.
I think someone's trying to make a Dark Side Ray play.
Preston Hoskins. We just got interrupted from either the 13th Skull or the Hot Toys Wizard. Maybe it was actually Dr. Wonder. Who knows? But May 1 through 4th, he's predicting an Artisan Dark Ray exclusive. Listen, if they gave me an Artisan Dark Ray exclusive, I would just spill all my damn coffee.
That's breast milk.
I would just spill it all over the darn place. And, I would probably have to, buy some new figures. A second Queen Amidala, third Artisan and sculpted Darth Vader, and a fourth Prisoner Leia. Jeez Louise, Preston Hoskins, you are my man today. And late, I got to play this for him.
The Wizard.
How many other wizards do we have in the chat here today? Lane, I would love this. What do you think of this lineup? Listen, if they gave all of this, Lane, if they did this, Dark Side Ray exclusive Artisan, a second Queen Amidala Artisan, and a sculpted Darth Vader and Artisan Vader from Crispy One or something, I don't know, and a Prisoner Leia, I don't think I need another figure all year.
I think a lot of people going broke, man. Especially if they're exclusive, and especially if a couple of them, like if they were to do like a dark ray, whether Artisan or not, that feels like an exclusive figure that they would do. Like that's not going to be a general pro. They're going to make like 2,000 of those, and that's it. Ventress would be cool. I'm not sure which version most people would probably want the Clone Wars version of her.
Well, you're probably let's be real, Lane. You're probably going to get every version of her once they go ahead and do it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she could she could tie in. They might be using her hair look like they've had from the animated, because remember, Tales from the Underworld is coming here in less than 2 weeks, or 2 weeks next week. It's coming next Sunday.
Well, what about? I mean, that's what Charlie the Unicorn says. Yobo, what's going on again?
I know that's the one you want.
Send us your predictions. Well, it's also the one that Yobo wants here. You know, actually, this is ranked fairly okay in the Crystal Ball Power rankings, Lane, but it's not in the top 20. It's in like the top 50, right? I think it raised up a little bit. I think because of that Jalen Urso, a lot of people are starting to feel Bail Organa now. You know where I'm going? And plus, with everything they're coming, they can reuse that Bail Organa, gosh, in so many different ways. But yeah, Yomo, what table you're at? Let me know what table. We'll go ahead and fill you up. Charlie the Unicorn says only the bald, beautiful. Yeah, and listen, this is another one.
Hey, I could see that just because Blitzway is teasing they're going to put out a scale.
Yeah,
and usually for these big IPs, there's synergy when a lot of the same character, maybe not right away, but usually there's a synergy for certain characters.
There's usually a synergy
at the time,
or usually Howard acts like Conor McGregor.
Who the is that guy? Who the is that?
Yeah, and so I mean that I mean a lot of the OT trilogy, like they're old as and Hot Toys time, they're old as dirt at this point. I mean, you're talking.
Well, and an Alec Guinness would absolutely break the internet. And honestly, you have to ask yourself, would they dare try to do Artisan with that? And I say yes. And I'll tell you why. Because with your big original trilogy characters, you're talking about Leia, Han, Luke, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Alec Guinness, they're going to give you premium Artisan on all of those. Same thing with your Avengers. That's why you're getting the Tom Holland already Spider-Man, from the Avengers with the short hair. Don't think for a second you're not going to get Robert Downey Jr. You're going to get them all. But Lane, they're definitely going to do it with the OT figures. They just are. The question is when.
The one thing I would say for like something like that for Artisan, it'd be the same question I would have for as much as I think Obi-Wan Kenobi Revenge of the Sith could be an Artisan one. The one thing for those that versions of the character is the goatee beard thing, because they have not done a character. It's how would it look where they probably would do the goatee beard sculpted, but do the regular hair actually rooted. So that might be the only thing. But I know Platinum very
Gold, Cody, and listen. I am going to play him. I am
the Stormtrooper. Well, whoever thought we'd say that in the same sentence.
I am going to play him this.
They call him the Wizard.
You know what else we're going to get, Lane, and we haven't gotten it yet? We're going to get a gold Vader. It's going to be really weird. We just are. It's going to be like. I mean,
we got that Crayola crayon Vader. Is what I've heard it called, and I don't think that Vader looks terrible. But it's also that's an exclusive. You just kind of go, why? That is a why figure kind of.
Well, Daryl Riggs is in here. Let's go ahead and answer his question. Welcome in here. Again, everybody who's in here, you are watching the Market Show live. It is the May 4th show. And is it possible that next week on May 4th, The Dark Jedi is going to be going live with Legend Lane? And I say yes. And I actually think Hot Toys may be working a little bit early on May 4th, Lane. It's going to be very, very interesting. Dowell Riggs says, do you think Hot Toys will do Imperial officers like Admiral Piet, for instance, Veers? Listen, I mean, they already did Grand Admiral Thrawn. You've got a couple of versions of Moff Gideon. You know, I think one of the things they're going to do.
Grand Moff Tarkin. Now he's a little bit
well,
different.
That's the thing. That's the thing. What you're talking about with Grand Moff Tarkin, because they're doing a lot of Rogue One. They are doing a ton of Rogue One releases, and I think that there's two characters in this clip that you're not going to see from the OT, but you're going to see from Rogue One first, and then you're going to get the OT version.
I grow tired of asking this, so it'll be the last time.
That's kind of spooky when you see Carrie Fisher and you see Grand Moff Tarkin. Because here's the thing, Lane. They love right now being able to reuse the tooling on these figures. You're seeing it with the General Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Clone Wars. You're seeing it with the Artisan, DX33, Heath Ledger Joker. We obviously just seen it and called it with the DX34 Anakin. And you are going, if they're going to give you a Leia from A New Hope 2.0, you could bet your arse they're going to give you a Rogue One from there as well. And if they're going to give you a Tarkin, Lane, from A New Hope, they'll give you from Rogue One, they'll also give you, Lane, from the Bad Batch of the Clone Wars. Go.
I don't know if I necessarily want super creepy CGI Grand Moff Tarkin figure from Rogue One, or Leia for that matter. But a redone, I mean, you know, a updated one from, like Bad Batch or from.
Hey, we got a super creepy one from Luke from the Mandalorian season 2.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So where that's one of those times where it would come in. I go, well, it's definitely faithful to the look of the character from the source material, but I don't know if I needed the source material.
Punisher, I know the source says, hi, everyone. We'll see if we can get everyone in here. Boba Fettuccine is in the house. What table are you at? And then Single Songwriter answered here that he is on table 2 with Grogu. Yeah, we'll fill you up, baby. We'll fill you up. Come on, let's go. And let's see who else we got to say hi to in here. I can't even keep track of all my places in here. Mr. Lane.
You're still getting used to, you were
Finn
out for
is
a
in
while.
here. He says good afternoon and good afternoon. And
real quick. So the appropriate response would be after today. Mr. Sin, hello there.
And sorry to be a millennial. I grew up.
Be sorry about
nothing to be sorry about at all. But you grew up with this.
Now, I will admit that scene had one of the best meme things I've seen in a while, because Star Wars is great. Star Wars and Star Trek are great for that, especially with the facial expressions. But just someone did a thing where he, doing that thing where he's firing and then he's like, I'm too weak, getting his face barbecued. And
I'm too weak.
Then Anakin's meme line is, okay, why not start shooting yourself, Mr. No, you will die. So I will say the one thing for the prequels was there were some moments where there was comedy that I don't like. It feels weird. Like some of the banter comedy in the first part of the movie, I was like, why is this happening? This is like a very important, dangerous scene. But hey, Moose Stream, But
Moose Dream's in here too. Yep, there you go. I put everybody up.
I think for the Imperials, I would see a better chance. I don't know about original trilogy Imperials, except maybe like a Tarkin, because they already did them. I could see maybe from Andor, like the ISB lady could get made, Miss, Imperial Mommy, I guess it sounds like from Andor at this point. Like someone like that, more likely or more recent, like, Director Krennic-esque character. We might get a new Krennic from Andor. I don't know if people would object to that too much, because it has figures been out 5 or 6 years now.
What is this, Lane? Charlie the Unicorn says, Mr. Wizard, there was a white porcelain Vader at Celebration with a cherry blossom themed outfit.
Maybe it was like a statue or something like that, or a different type of thing.
Wow. If I had that clip of Revenge of the Sith that you just watched, Lane, where Vader went, no!
Yeah. Well,
no, that's just kidding. That does sound pretty interesting. Like, and pretty darn cool. I tell you what. Well, Vader will sell, Lane.
Yep.
No one thought that. So I got to ask you a question about this, Lane, because a lot of us thought, or a lot of collectors thought, that new Vader, the one with the light effect,
dueling effect, yeah,
that it wouldn't move, but it moved. It's so. How do you explain that? I guess
it's it's the power of exclusive. Just that, like you said, it's got that magic, and not every exclusive doesn't work like that. That Miles Morales, the Prowler influence suit, which is supposed to be a limited exclusive, and I think the Fractal Iron Man. Now I know the Miles has like been almost sold out, but it's been that way for a while now, at least more than a week or something. So it doesn't mean every figure, but I think that's the power of Darth Vader. There are a lot of Darth Vader I mean, you and I, we own multiple Vaders. He's one of those things, if there's enough unique to it, or if
it's like all those Iron Mans.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that there's obviously a lot of collectors in the Hot Toys that love Iron Man, and that's a lot of them. Some of them, it's all they collect. But the more Hot Toys gets out there, there's going to be more and more Star Wars fans and Vader fans that come in here. Like, I could collect Vaders, the best Vaders on the market. It could have a similar effect. Single Songwriter says, we always get something before May 4th. Remember, we got Luke from Empire, non-battle damage. Well, look, I think you're on to something. I don't think it's all going to drop May 3rd, May 4th, May 5th. I think we're going to get some teasers. And look, that's why they call
the Wizard.
Look, it looks like, Lane, we almost got 60 in here. We've got to get into this. You're watching the market show live. We're giving our predictions. We haven't done the freaking intro, so let's go ahead and do it so we can set the table. Lane, you want to do it? You want to go ahead and do it with me, Lane? Like we usually do. Here we go. Let's go ahead and dive into this awesomeness right now.
Little delayed with that.
Little delay with that. But welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Market Show right here at the 6 Scale Cantina. And just in case you don't know just who I am the Dark Jedi, Aries Tarrington, about to serve up all the 6 Scale action figure talk, and along with my compadre, legend, Lane Kramer. Right now, go ahead and put in your predictions. What do you think we're going to be getting from May 4th. Look, it doesn't have to be just Star Wars. Maybe we're going to get an Artisan, Christian Bale, Batman, an Artisan, Thor, from
that would be the Howie.
that would be maybe we're going to finally get that Artisan, Aquaman, Jason Momoa. It's coming. You never know. With Hot Toys, they're going to be announcing all of these figures for your wallets. So we're gonna get into it right now, Lane. And you know what I'm going to put up? I am going to put up 6scalecantina.com. If you don't have it bookmarked, you just may want to consider doing so. It has a lot of fun stuff, including this month's Crystal Ball Power Rankings. And look what's at number 1, Lane, and we're going to go through all of these. It is the Dark Side Anakin, and it has a check mark. I guess I should call it the Sith Apprentice DX47 Darth Vader. That is Anakin and then became Darth Vader. That one is gone. And we're going to go ahead and get right into some of these predictions. At number 2, look, I can't control this. I cannot control the amount of votes that this gets. But you guys see it in the chat. A lot of people are thinking we're getting Darkseid Rey. I will say this, Lane. This is absolutely what Hot Toys has now been doing with more and more announcements, less production of these announcements, with more 2.0s and different variations and all kinds of niche characters. It doesn't even have to be part of a movie. It can be just a thought. Somebody, I thought of this, a concept. It wasn't even in a darn comic. This was in a movie. It was a huge hit with Hasbro and the Black Series. Huge hit with so many, Gentle Giant, so many different companies. This is a no-brainer. Whatever head sculpt they use with this sort of mold, they're going to be reusing a lot of that tooling and giving us something
too already that they've done with their.
They have the body, Lane, and I could see this. This they know would sell because they've heard so much. Lane, they watch these shows. They watch a lot of these shows. They know what collectors want. They see a lot of comments, and they know the dark side moves. They really, really do.
Well,
Could this be made for? I mean, again, I think they could do Thor on May 3rd. I really do. I think they could do Iron Man on May 3rd, but I think they could do this too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a real huge
it's coming
person. I mean, like you say, Hot Toys has put out stuff we said there's no chance, or just random, like, remember they put the TIE pilot out just a couple months ago, like a month and a half ago, just no.
I mean, Vince McMahon, no chance, or whatever the heck.
Yeah, or just put that out, and I mean, we were like, I don't know, that feels like it would have been a perfect, May the 4th figure, like tonight, tomorrow night, that guy popping up and then showing up and being like, for May the 4th, Force with here's TIE Fighter pilot. You're finally getting an OT TIE Fighter pilot. But, Rey, Darkseid Rey, where she's not something I would be that interested in. You're right. There are certain people, and she has a unique lightsaber. I don't know if they'd be able to make it pop out.
They piss people off because all they would make of this one is like 3,000, 2,500. I think maybe max. Maybe they'll give you 3,500. But look, that's the beauty about a lot of these exclusives, Lane. And there's a dark side and there's a light side. There's a yin and a yang to this that goes in unfortunately one way more than the other. But there's going to be a not so little made that it'll have great demand effect, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the key there. And then Char the Unicorn says Darkseid Rey is such a baddie. I love her. Single Songwriter says exclusive Darkseid Rey and Lightside Rey 2-pack. Oh, come on, baby. Come on. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
How many of you would want or think? It doesn't have to be just
one. They could just literally reuse, kind of like they did the 2-pack for like the Nightmare Batman and Superman. Because the lightsaber they just got to reuse. They can just reuse almost. They can just reuse the original Rey from Rise of Skywalker from a couple years ago as one of the 2 figures. That would be cool too.
I got to go ahead and play this for Ryan Stadler
They
right
call
here.
him the Wizard.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be getting a lot of Vaders for sure.
I don't think that's crazy. Your idea for May the 4th, since they already have shown the prototype for it. He mentioned Jar Jar for May the 4th. We know the figure exists. Now, what I would prefer.
Well, for Jar Jar, for Char the Unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, is it possible?
He's going to come at some point eventually. They're going to figure out.
I think that it would be a very interesting, maybe releasing Jar Jar for May 4th is paying is a tribute to Star Wars. Maybe they'll release Jar Jar first, and then we'll say this.
Is it possible?
Clip.
Showcase.
But
or showcase or showcase. That feels like a figure at some point. That just feels like a figure at some point, because as we've seen, just with Andor, even though some of it was kind of re-release and stuff, but they're willing to they're putting some stuff around. Now I realize, technically the Cassian is Rogue One, but it's Cassian Andor. If they weren't during the Andor show, that Rogue One Cassian wouldn't exist. Because of that.
Is it possible?
That.
Well, no. Well, you saw what number 1 was, Lane, and it came to pass here at the at the 6 scale Cantina. Of course, mine looks better with the Photoshopped eyes than the one that we're getting. A lot of people have this at number 2. Is this one also going to come out? Of course, number 3 to Jack Nicholson Joker 2.0.
That one we have to wait till I think Jack Nicholson's passed. Pretty much, because his likeness is so expensive. He's like $1 million or something.
We'll see. We'll see. I think they're still within that license range of when they signed it. That's the thing. And what he actually paid contract wise for Warner Brothers at that film, we'd have to see. I don't think you're going to have to wait for him to pass. You may. I think it's kind of 50-50. I think it's like the Han thing. Remember we used to talk about that? And it did take a little bit for the Han. John Wick, but let's keep going with Star Wars, because this is number 5. Is it possible that this one is coming for the May 4th weekend? And the 13th Skull says yes. I think you're going to get an Obi-Wan Revenge of the Sith this week, Lane. I really, really do. I really do.
Would you agree that if they did not do if May the 4th, if they did not do, or Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary, if they did not do a new Obi-Wan, and I know we say this a lot, but this is an easy money figure for them to do. And just like Anakin, just updating the head sculpt, whether it's artisan or sculpted or whatever, doesn't matter. Doing a new Obi-Wan, for some reason, if they did not do a new Obi-Wan after doing 3 Obi-Wans, from other show or media or something, if they didn't do a 2.0 in some form or fashion for Obi-Wan for Revenge of the Sith, would you? They got to do this. Would you say that would probably be one of the at the end of this year? If they didn't do that, we would probably say, what is your top 3 disappointments for Hot Toys, for 2025?
This would be. If they didn't do that, this would be a disappointment.
Whether it's artisan or otherwise, if they didn't.
Look, they got a pretty decent. I'd like to see it even better, and I think that they can, because they showed that with the DX34, with the DX47, they've showed that they can. And I was talking about this, Lane, if you remember, a few years ago, that they were going to develop tooling, because it can be done with these head sculpts where you can tweak them a little bit And that is exactly what they did with the DX47 and DX34. They're doing this with some other figures as well. You're able to tweak it somewhat, and they have a pretty decent one. We have the Mandalorian disguise Obi-Wan, which is basically the same thing as the Clone Wars General Kenobi Obi-Wan. And so you kind of tweak that very, very slightly. It's very little investment because you got most of the R&D already invested in that head sculpt. And then, my goodness, Hot Toys, what I say at the beginning, Lane, they know what people are going crazy over right now. It is Anakin fever. Anakin fever for the DX34. Anakin fever for the DX47. Can you even imagine Legend Lane, if they gave you an Artisan Obi-Wan to go with that? And I think if they do it, they give you sculpted, obviously, as well. I think the internet would break with excitement. Everyone would have to have that one to go with the figure. I mean, this is a no-brainer. And I'm going to say this, Lane. One last reason why I think this is coming out on May 4th. It's the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, the movie you just saw.
Yeah. Well, I think demand now, from what I've seen for some of the Hong Kong retailers, some of the demand for the Anakin Artisan, the pricing's gone down on that. You can now find it. Now it's still way more than the original retail.
Well, hold that thought, because I got all the data on that, and we'll jump into that.
Yeah.
I've got so much to show you on that.
But Anakin, I think, you saw that with Anakin Mania, because right now, I guess it was looking like Revenge of the Sith, a re-release, was going to make somewhere between $25 to $30 million this weekend.
Wow, so that adds on to the overall total.
Yeah. And that would be the highest total a re-release for a movie has ever made. We'll have to,
wow.
You have to wait till final estimates tomorrow and stuff, but it was tracking that it would do. Now I don't know.
It's extremely it's this generation. We were talking about that. A lot of older guys like me grew up with the original trilogy. I had the privilege of sharing with my daughters the Star Wars with the prequel trilogy. Okay, so in my younger days, obviously going back 20 years ago. And 26 years ago, being able to watch the Phantom Menace, and all that kind of jazz 25 years ago. Amazing. But listen, what else goes with that highly sought after DX34, highly sought after DX47? It's Anakin Mania. We got a General Grievous coming out this year. Howard knows what companion pieces work, and I'm going to play this clip because it just works. You are a bold one. As you see that clip there, I'm going to play it one more time because that is such an easy one to argue. You are a bold one. I mean, if you think the Tom Holland one was easy, I think this one may be just as easy.
Well, like I said, the only thing is because of the goatee and stuff, the beard. It's how they're going to handle that, and
I wonder how they will.
Will the sculpted mesh with if they do Artisan? I honestly believe I think Artisan would be cool, but I think for this, just because he's got a beard, I would tell them to do a sculpted one, but really, really work on the likeness. That this one, a 2.0, it should literally be the best looking Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan.
It should be. They're really damn close. Let me tell you, I have the DX26.
Yeah.
It is absolutely insane. I hope the art is in that. Just leave the head sculpt the way it is and redo it. But the Clone Wars, the two Clone Wars ones, that's really freaking good. A little bit of a tweak, Lane, it is off the damn charts. And yes, Punisher, I think this does make sense because the way Hot Toys is moving now, they're putting out a lot of companion pieces. That's what they did with the Ahsoka line. A lot of companion pieces, so you got to buy one to go into the other. Well, they're coming out with everything, Lane. They're 2.0. They didn't just give you the Terminator battle damage. They said, hey, let's give you the Terminator regular because we know that you'll buy them both. Oh, wait a minute. Let's give you the T1000.
So we
because
have the anime.
They're changing their ways. So that's why I think this is coming. All I'm doing, Lane, I think you're kind of, you tell me why you were predicting this. I'm just following the breadcrumbs. I think you are too.
Yeah. Well, I just think, like you said, companion piece wise, everything like now. The thing I would say is if you have to take a little bit more time to make sure you get the sculpt nailed perfectly, that's the only thing. If they do a 2.0, they have, at least for the prototype right now, I think they need to nail, like they can't be 90%. That head sculpt. This is maybe not the exact best comparison, but I feel like because they've done so many Ewan McGregor Obi-Wans at this point, you might remember when Inart put out that Aragorn and just how accurate that was. Like it was perfect.
Oh yeah. You do got to be careful.
I think this Ewan, because I don't want to say people $300 figures were practice, we're practice mode for doing it, but I feel like they need to nail like that. We should look at that prototype and almost feel like we're looking at that Inart Aragorn going like, this is the best Star Wars head sculpt we've ever seen.
Yeah. And this is the one that makes sense, but you never know with Hot Toys. It could be this one.
Well,
I'm just saying. I am just saying.
Space Jesus, Obi-Wan would be cool too.
Would be cool, and it is that is coming. There is not even a chance that it's not. I just think we're going to be getting a lot of Revenge of the Sith love to make sure that they make those sales, and Sideshow as well. Now I'm looking at some other comments, and I'm going to put this one up. Now this one is very high up on the list, and I'm going to put this up from Preston first. And Preston says on May 3rd last year, they released Artisan Luke Dark Empire. Listen, you're right. And, are they going to go ahead this year and do an Artisan Leia Dark Empire? And I don't have
Leia. People would, I think, be in for that.
Look,
for Jedi.
He gets another one of these.
The Wizard.
I actually think he may be right. And we're not going to get this one yet. Or maybe we get both of them. But I have this one up. We know this one's coming. Could you see them doing this first? Could you see them doing an Artisan Leia Dark Empire? I would lose it. They're going to do it because the Luke went over well. So let me ask you this, Lane. If Howard has data on how well not only the Artisan, but here's the tail of the tape, the two sculpted versions went. He has the data. How's he going to pass on Leia? Because he knows, again, let's go to companion pieces. He knows you're going to love it. Is that one going to come before this? Because the reason I'm asking you this is I have a prediction, and we talked about this. I'm thinking they're reversing the Dark Empire Luke. I think what you're going to see on May 4th, and we're going to get to it in here, is you're 1,000% going to see a Luke Skywalker on May 4th. And it's going to be an Artisan, except it's going to be the head sculpt of the Dark Empire one that's coming out, which is due to come out. They're going to go ahead and give you the Mando version first with the Grogu. And they reverse that. And for very clever reasons, I think, for marketing. But which one do you think we would get first? This type of Leia, or do you think we would get a Dark Empire one like President?
I think an OT trilogy Leia before Dark Empire.
Well, let me ask you this. Why didn't we get an OT Luke before Dark Empire Luke?
It was a different Luke because he just put out like an Empire. We haven't had a Leia in years.
Yeah, what was the last one? It was the Leia Ewok.
Best. Okay, yeah, Leia.
Yeah.
Was better, but I just think that I just don't see the Dark Empire Leia, at least right now. There's different Leia if they're going to put out.
There's so many Leias that they could put. Give me the prisoner Leia.
Yeah, but I mean, if I would be in Howie's ear saying, "Hey, if you're going to do another comic expanded universe look or whatever, then you just need to do Mara Jade Skywalker.
Well,
she would feel better
you
than
know how
2,500 of them. That would be a limited release. That should be a limited release. That one, because people who are to Star Wars through like the sequel trilogy aren't going to know who that is. But I think, I mean, you would more likely, to me, you would see this version than you would see Dark Empire Leia.
Oh, let me tell you something. With you know, I'm all over with this Leia here.
Yeah,
I am all in with this Leia. There is a lot of data, Lane, that I have put together. I even put in, and for anybody that wants to go ahead and join my channel, you get a lot of these exclusive videos with some insight, and some data and some trends that I put together to kind of show you the method to some of these predictions that we talk about here on this channel. And one of the things that I could tell you is I have a lot of data on this on this Leia. You know, one of the things as I bring it up onto the screen is you got a very prominent company in Lego that offers a sale bars. And is it possible that within this they actually have a prisoner Leia? And I say yes, they actually do. And I'll pull it up for you, Lane, in all of her glory right here on the screen, if I can get her to come up. And right here, there it is. And if you got Lego doing it, is it possible that Hot Toys can do it?
this one came out
And
looking really
I
good with those pants.
say it's a cool Lego. This is a cool Lego figure as well. Also, when you go on Lane Star Wars, StarWars.com, which last I checked is owned by the Disney Corporation. The front and center poster of Return of the Jedi has Princess Leia, not in her Endor outfit, not in her Bouche disguise outfit, not in her ending ceremony outfit or her other outfits. It has her in this outfit, Lane. So they don't see any reason to go ahead and take that down. And this would have Artisan, Lane, in my view, written all over it for sure. Even when you go to some licensed companies right now and they have to pay, kind of putting this together, they have to pay for licenses from Star Wars, or they get taken down from Amazon and stuff like that. You see this right here. You can get this stand up of Princess Leia, licensed product, right from all in all of her glory in this outfit, right from officially licensed product. So again, Lane, I actually think that this is coming. This would be a May 4th release that would be absolutely out of this world.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. I just would like a new Leia at this point.
I would like this new Leia. Again, go ahead and you could join the channel and you could become an official 6-Scale Cantina ancient action figure theorists. And this would be an ancient action figure. And Lade, they would do this at Artisan. And Lade, how would the Q be for this?
Oh, jeez.
Like,
I don't know if it'd be as bad. Well, let's put it this way. It's probably not going to be bad if they end up putting up, like, having 300 Anakins, Darth Vader Sith apprentices only to go on to Sideshow's website. Probably not that bad, but it would be just like the tier underneath for murdering the Sideshow website.
Yes, for sure. Let's see. Good for Health is in the house saying, hey, yo, what is going on? And Ayo to you. Listen, make sure you guys all smash that like button. And what is your May 4th prediction? We're going over the crystal ball power rankings right now And Legend Lane and I are talking about all the possibilities of what could be coming from Howard Chan, JC Hong, and the Hot Toys gang and Sideshow for May 4th. And I think we are in for some real interesting, unexpected stuns and shocks. You know, Preston Hoskins mentioned earlier, right in here, that last year we did get that crazy Artisan and sculpted Dark Empire Luke. Could we be getting a Mara Jade, like Lade is saying? Could we be getting a Artisan Leia Dark Empire? Could we just get a Farm Boy Luke out of nowhere, Lane? Artisan, and I would just spill my dark coffee. That would, to me, that is May 4th. You know, Farm Boy Luke, Mark Hamill, completely redone head sculpt. Let's go, baby. That would be a great May 4th. We're going over it right now. But go ahead, everybody in there. Go ahead and put in your comments and we'll go. But I actually think that this is coming. This would blow the doors down, the Leias, as we're talking about that. Let's go to the next one that's ranked up very high and for big reason. And it is the 10th anniversary. Now, they didn't tease an Artisan version, Lane, but we all know they got the Artisan version of Moon Knight that's coming. So you know they're gonna give you different variants of Moon Knight, and I think it's gonna be in the Poe Dameron. Would they wait till then, or would they just go ahead and give you a release now that you could go ahead and pre-order and enter a queue with? But they teased this again, Lane. They teased it a long time ago, and they usually don't re-tease like that Kit Fisto from the Crypt if they don't plan on doing it. Is this May 4th or just later this year or next year? I'm interested in this.
See, I'm not.
I don't know either with this one.
I don't collect sequel trilogy figures. But there's a chance for it. I just don't know.
There's a chance for everything now with what they're doing.
It's one of those things. Yeah, I mean, it's like, as we talked about, they will sometimes put out weird figures just like out of the blue, like TIE Fighter Pilot. They already did earlier this year, which was just like, what? And so there's always a chance for this one. And they did show them again just at Celebration.
They just showed them and they're putting all that. Yeah, they're putting all that investment into the Moon Knight one. So this is actually the Moon Knight head sculpt on top of his outfit.
Yep.
That's what this is. And look at how easy they gave you a Poe Dameron. And they'll tweak it a little bit here and there. And I think that because they already showed this could be one of the items coming from May 4th. Now, let's get to some of the Lukes that are in here because I brought it up and we'll get to all of them. Here you go. Now, let's talk about it. Look, the Dark Empire Luke, the one that was released a year ago, is due to come out this year. Lane, we just got a trailer and a Celebration. They showed the trailer for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So, what a time for a 2.0 of the Mandalorian Season 2 one. They wouldn't even have to call it Mandalorian Season 2. They could actually call this, they can do that one from the Book of Boba Fett if they wanted to and put this out. This is the same exact time period, this Luke, as the Dark Empire, about 5 or 6 years after the events of the Return of the Jedi. Lane, it's too easy. Because they're doing it. They're making money. This is way too easy. And this is one of my calls for May 4th.
And Luke with Grogu.
A Luke. I'm not gonna put myself on the spot too much, but this is this is one of my calls when they put out the Dark Empire Luke for sure. I think they're gonna do this. Whether it's May 4th, I don't know. They're gonna give you a Luke, but this one's coming this year. It's too easy. It's too easy. And right on the heels of the Mandalorian and Grogu hype from Celebration, I would say do this now. Because it would make the most sense.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to do it. It's too easy of a head sculpt. All they have to do is fuss with the hair, make it a little less poofy on what they got. It makes it look just like he is here. It's too easy. Same time period.
Yeah, no, I mean, doing a Return of the Jedi one or something could work. You know, and Luke had a kind of similar general look. But you know, it's, I don't know. I mean, who knows? You know, with May the 4th, they've thrown out so many wacky figures over the years. You know, the last couple, some that just made sense, kind of like, you know, whatever they would do Revenge of the Sith. You can go, well, that makes sense. They're doing that one right now, but they'll then throw out just something totally random, and you go, okay, well, didn't see that one coming, you know, kind of thing. But I think it's more likely where you're talking about like a Yoda, I think right now, than necessarily a Luke. But Luke's always going to be a popular character. He's one of the OGs, and he's shown up in modern Disney Star Wars too. So you can't just dismiss like they would ever do that.
Yeah, especially because, you know, they're going ahead, and this is what they're doing. I'm gonna actually pull this up onto the screen so we can go ahead and take a look at it.
You actually have on the list here the one I would say I would more likely like to see them do. Oops. Using that head sculpt, and whether if it was artisan or sculpted.
Return of the Jedi?
Well, no. If you go back to the main, it's on your list there. I would prefer if they were going to do a Luke, using this updated facial sculpt would be number 28.
Number 28. Oh, they're going to do that. I would love to have this.
Yeah, X-Wing Luke.
I mean, this looks like... well, here's the thing. It's not exactly the same outfit as Poe Dameron's, the one that they're teasing, but it's very, very similar fabric. It's the same basic outfit. Okay, a little bit different for Poe, a little bit different for Luke, but everybody knows what outfit it is. They're already kind of doing that, so that makes sense all around that this is coming. That they will 2.0 this. Honestly, this is one of my favorite Lukes by Hot Toys. To be honest with you, Lane, it doesn't have rolling eyes. It doesn't have the LED light up lightsaber. Okay. To have it in Artisan, and imagine if it can look like that.
And actually, a Red 5 Luke. Now, here's what I would put to chat, guys. Here's for a thing for just kind of being random, more background characters. If you had an opportunity where, and I'm not even just saying for May the 4th or something, but like in the next couple of years, or even leading into 50th anniversary for the A New Hope, the OG Star Wars movie. If you could get a Luke, and not all, but a couple of the X-Wing pilots, maybe from like A New Hope or wherever, even like, you know, if they did an entire just Star Wars franchise, like Legacy, like X-Wing, you know, pilot series or something, where it could be a few from the older movies, even to maybe a more traditional, like, you know, the clone pilots who were, I forget what the name of the ship was that they were flying, you know, the precursor to the X-Wing that was in Revenge of the Sith, leading to Poe Dameron or something in the sequel trilogy. If you had a choice between some X-Wing based outfit or pilot based figures, or that, or maybe something more like some legacy Imperial officer or something along that line of figure, leading to where it could lead to, I don't know, General Hux from, you know, or that kind of thing. What would you guys have a preference for? Because I know for myself, I would go like, give me a Luke. And not him. Give me Luke, Biggs. Give me Wedge Antilles. I mean, you could go Dak or Hobbs, you know, from some of the other ones, something like that.
I definitely want you to shoot me a text or give me a shout out. Well, on this May 4th week, they go ahead and they absolutely look. This is the reason why they're doing this, and this is what I'm going to try to warn everybody with their wallets. You tuned into 6 Scale Cantina for me to be able to inform you. Listen, I knew this dark side Anakin was coming. And I got rid of my Dooku because I know the 2.0 is coming. Same thing with my Emperor from Return of the Jedi. I know the LED light up one is coming. And when you talk about the buzz right now for the Mandalorian and Grogu and an opportunity to take advantage of this tooling, there is not a look. This figure's coming out any week. Okay. So whether it comes out for May 4th or it comes out on June 4th or it comes out on September 4th, 1000%, you are going to get a different Luke variation. Now, Lane, for me, could they de-age this a little bit and give you the snow speeder pilot Luke or an X-wing Luke? They could, but I think it's too easy with this outfit with minor tweaks to give you Mando, put in another Grogu, which promotes the Mando Luke, which promotes what? Their next movie next year. They're going to want to be in line with Disney with that. The second thing is, though, could they do a Return of the Jedi, or is this Lane 5-6 years too far ahead, or could they do it with the sculpt? What do you think?
I don't think a return. I think it'd be a little bit too soon for them. But there's never too soon. We were just going to mention.
Well, we just did the DX47. It's not too soon.
Yeah. DX34, like literally just
the Mando
starting to hit
Kenobi.
Yeah, I mean, well, even more so. You just like you pointed out, like literally not people here, but people just were able to pick up their DX34 lights, regular, Revenge of the Sith Anakin. And then Hot Toys said, guess what? For celebration, like a week or two, not even 2 weeks later, maybe at most 2 weeks later, they said, oh yeah, here's a Darth Vader, but it's like regular, still not barbecue meat, Anakin Skywalker with red eyes and a red lightsaber. And if you want to have it more accurate for the movie, his blue lightsaber. Have a nice day. So, and it's $400 and something, and people still bought it.
All right. So I got to ask you this. While on everybody, you are watching the market show live. So ask the Dark Jedi any questions you have about May 4th. A lot of my predictions from the past have come true on May 4th. And a lot of my predictions in general come to pass there. And ask Legend Lane, who has been on fire through the years here with nailing a lot of these coming out. Ask both of us any questions you want. We'll flash it up on the screen. Go ahead and do that now. Let me know what table you're at here at the Market Show Live at 6 Scale Cantina, and we'll fill you up, baby. We'll see what clip you're going to get. Let us know what you think. But look, Lane, this is only 3,500 pieces. Let's talk about this. This is Luke Skywalker.
That was a pretty high number, too.
Yeah, it's a pretty high number because the DX47 is 2,500 pieces.
Yep. And Anakin was only 3,000.
3,000. Now, the Heath Ledger Joker was 4, right? Okay, yep. And the Jack Sparrow DX39 was 4,000. This is 3,500.
Was it that many?
I think this was. Is it 35 or 3? Is it? It's a good question. Now you got me wondering.
Joker.
Let's go to Sideshow. I think it's 3,500. I think it's that many.
I think, yeah. No, I was questioning Jack Sparrow. I don't think he was that many.
Or is this 3,000? No, Jack Sparrow is 4,000.
Okay.
That is 4,000. Yes. How crazy do you think this one's going to go? Niche, Darth Vader, it's Luke, it's the first Artisan original trilogy character that is Artisan. I just don't think that they're only doing 3,500 of these. They're showing you that they're not with any of these releases. So the question is, are there going to be some people that are like, ooh, they're giving us a Mando one, or are they giving us a Jedi one? Maybe you know what? How many years, Lane, is Return of the Jedi from Empire? It's not that many years, is it? I don't think it's 5 or 6.
You mean for like in universe time?
In universe time, like they could probably.
A year? Yeah, between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, there was like 4 years.
All right, so do you think? Let's go back to your Snowspeeder idea. Could they do a Red 5?
Well, no,
or
I didn't think. I was speaking. I think they would do an X-wing Luke, not a snowspeeder Luke.
do you think that they would do an X-wing Luke?
I could see him doing that. That's one I would kind of, because that would be even though it's not a totally different look from the last couple releases of more recent, from the Mando Luke and the Dark Empire Luke, that would be a completely different. I mean, completely different look. This is all black Jedi Sithy robe look.
Listen,
That would be a bright colored X1. I mean, that's a good way to approach it, because you don't know. You really don't know until Hot Takes puts it out there exactly what they're going to do.
Absolutely. No, that's always a good thing, Mitchell. I will tell you this, though. I want to play devil's advocate to your statement. I think you're right, so you don't get disappointed on a date if you think it's going to be on Christmas Day or May 4th. But trust me, buddy, all the Marvel characters, all the Terminator characters, all the Batman characters, all these things they're 2.0ing. I'm going to have a new saying I'm going to put in with the channel community. Expect to spend your money and that everything's getting 2.0. They just are. And expect with all of these that they're going to give you different variations. Now, I would like them to continue, Mitchell and everyone and Lane, with what they did with the DX34. They gave you a variation, but unlike the General Kenobi from the Clone Wars, okay, they changed the head sculpt really significantly from the way, on the DX47. They did the same thing with the Heath Ledger Artisan Batman Imposter.
Do you mean DX26 for how they changed the?
No, I mean the Mandalorian.
You mean the Luke was changed?
No, they haven't changed anything. The first thing that they've changed was this DX47. They actually changed it.
Oh yeah, for Anakin. But no, you said Obi-Wan. So General.
No, they didn't change that one. No. So what I would like to see them do as they 2.0 these, or they come out with different variations, is do what they did with that DX47 Lane and kind of tweak it a little bit. So we're getting something not the same head sculpt like we did with that General Kenobi.
I thought you were saying, though, for like with Obi-Wan, how you had the Kenobi in that head sculpt, but they tweaked it and changed it to de-age him a little bit. De-age his look, even though they use some doing the General Kenobi.
But honestly, that DX26 that is way better than a prototype. Thank goodness they changed that.
Oh yeah. Well, they just had see, that's one thing, Hot Toys, you may have been noticing recently on some, not relating necessarily to these, but like that Monkey D. Luffy that just came out, they updated that, but you just saw for that Prey Predator, which is an expensive figure. That's a $400 figure. They switched to seamless body for some of the arms and all that stuff. So they're doing a good job right now updating some of those figures where you were left a little bit like, maybe a little bit with some of the body or the facial sculpts, and they're updating them to improve.
Well,
which is
this is what I'm talking about.
Oh boy, yeah, the bloodbath. There's the bloodbath picking it up from Sideshow, and right now there's literally the force choke of eBay in the secondary market for the Sith Apprentice.
Well, and also the regular one. I'm gonna show you this, Lane, but we're gonna continue to put up the predictions during this show, so don't worry about that. And also in the chat, what do you think's coming for May 4th? Look, I had to move a lot of figures, Lane, because I already know I don't have budgeted for another Artisan this year, but I just actually budgeted for whatever variation of that Dark Empire Luke they're gonna do. So you heard it right here at 6 Scale Cantina. I told you about the Sith Apprentice Anakin. This one we're going to show here. This one just sold April 25th at 10 a.m. And I'm putting this up on the screen for $1,500. It's out of stock. Okay, I'm going to show you a ton of these. But I had to save money, Lane, for whatever alternate Luke. I pray to God you're right. I would love to get an X-Wing Luke. If they do that, I would actually prefer that over the Mando and Grogu Luke, because I think that that's one of their better figures. and probably their best representation of Luke. The deep fake one, I love that figure. So I don't need another one. But if they artisan it, I'm going to buy it. But I'd love to see. I'd love to see that. But I had to budget it because I know they're going to do it, Lane. They're not just going to give us that comic one. And when they start coming out with these lines, it's like the Terminator series. They're going to give you everything. So I am preparing for everything to be 2.0, and not in 3 years like it used to be. They came out with more figures last year, ladies and gentlemen, than in the history of Hot Toys. Right now, I can't even keep up with all of this stuff. But yeah, Lane, this one here, $1,500 just the other day.
This will eat your budget for a lot of minifigures you were thinking about.
Here's another one. Also on April 25th. Let's go to it. Let's put it up on the screen. With 21 bids. Here, 21 bids. Now this seller has 616 feedback. Okay. $1,422.89.
70 shipping. Whew. So
what is
and tax?
Wow.
Now if Aussie or whatever, I mean, so literally they were spending with shipping and tax like $1,650 to $1,700 to get their hands on this figure at the end of the day. That's insane.
Well, and here's the thing. Look, you called this because we basically thought, and I agree with you. You thought, hey, at the end of the day, this figure is going to be anywhere like $1,300 to $1,700 at the end of the day. I actually see that. I think that that's where this is going to land, but I actually believe that this can get even closer in a couple of years to $2,000. I really, really do. I think this will be. I feel like that this is the Grail of Grails, and I hate to say this, but a lot of the old Grails, that Yondu, that's Harkin you talk about, that A New Hope Obi-Wan Kenobi. I hate to say it, there's almost no Grails anymore. They're not exclusive. They're not numbered. They don't have a certain amount. They don't have all this new, they almost look outdated compared to these. I feel like these are your new Grails, Lane, but this figure all day. I mean, could you believe this here? 21 bits.
People were all in on this one. And
Yep.
it is funny because this is the power sometimes of certain characters. Because it's not like for this figure. Yeah, it's not like this figure had, we've talked at times some material where if they announced it was a leather material had been put into it and everything, so it was an upgrade over actually, some of the makeup of, say, even the DX34, where we could kind of go, well, hey, they improved stuff for this release versus the other one. So that makes sense where you're just getting some better stuff and a better figure overall, but they didn't do that. And I got to see this guy actually pose and unbox on
this is also.
Yeah.
So late, I got to show you, and I got more of the dark side at it. I was pulling this up a little too soon, but the DX47, but also on April 25th. So it is going for $300 to $400 cheaper. It's going for around $1,000 to $1,100. Okay, but we said, and I agree with you. You said at the end of the day, that figure is probably going to sell without taxes and shipping anywhere from $800 to $1,000 for here and forever, right? Well, here you are, just from April 25th. This is the regular DX34, $1,185 sold, no best offer. Yeah. $1,185. Now that's not the $1,100 that I'm showing you with shipping and taxes, right? But that's crazy. And I got to ask you this again. How much of the fact that the head sculpt is not exactly the same, let's go back to that Obi-Wan, the Mandalorian disguise Obi-Wan and the General Obi-Wan, both Clone Wars figures, the head sculpt exactly the same. Does the fact that this one is different than the DX47 help it? Not just the eyes, the jaw, the teeth, everything.
Unfortunately, I think in the long term, and I'm using quote long term, just because I think the price for both of these will go down a little bit. I actually am on the opposite. I think it'll go down a little bit because I think we're kind of in Anakin mania right now with Celebration so recently. That still doesn't mean they're not going to be like $1,000 or more. So they're still going to be the most expensive individual figures to buy, probably for the next few years.
And they'll never make them again because these are at least these versions. Let's be clear. These versions are limited. They're forever editions. They can come up with another Ahsoka. Notice how they called. I just want to say with what you're saying, because I've been thinking about this. With the DX47, they didn't exactly call it the Revenge of the Sith one or the Ahsoka.
No, it's not. It doesn't have Revenge of the Sith
or Ahsoka
nomenclature on it. Mm-hmm.
So they could actually come out with two of those, and they could come out with two different versions. It won't be that one, but they could.
Yeah, and the thing with this one is probably going to end. This is going to be another case of light side Anakin, dark side Anakin, where they're both going to be relatively expensive figures, but this one will always be just a little bit less. Maybe not.
I agree.
And it's possible the gap between whether eventually the Sith Apprentice comes down a little bit or this one goes up a little bit, they could get where when we're talking the difference here, it might be like $100, $150 or something. So it may not be a huge significant difference a couple of years from now, but whoever's paying that much for this.
Well, so look, the first one sold for $1,980.
Yeah. So, but I mean, just to put that in context, that's $600 more than I spend on a quarter scale statue from Prime One that I have coming on Tuesday that I've been waiting a couple of years for. But this figure is the figure right now, and it will probably be now that's not to say there, like you said, some other ones that could blow up the internet and a lot of this too, could have to do a little bit. I'm saying just beyond right now is what do you, Aries, just where we're seeing this right now. What if there, as some of the scenario could follow that 1,000 other versions of because we have to remember too, there might long term, a couple years from now, there might be slight variances for this one because there's the one that, even though it's like just a slip thing or something inside, there's a celebration version of this figure, and there's going to be quote, or I guess a regular exclusive version of it. So there is even going to be a slight difference between them. So could there be, like, depending which version of this guy you got, could there maybe be like a $50 or $75 difference in what you could get for the figure on the secondary market, depending on, do you have the 1,000, which was for other territories, or do you have the celebration version? That could happen too.
No, I think you're onto something. So ask me the question again, because those are two different ones, the one in Japan and this version. But you're basically asking me if I think it's going to be a difference between the versions.
Yeah, the two different versions of even Sith Apprentice. Not right now, but I'm saying like when we're looking at it a couple of years from now, and I don't think it'll be a huge difference, but there could be a slight difference because people might just, and not necessarily every purchase, but there could be a certain mindset. It's like, oh, this is the one from the celebration, from the big event. Like it's even if it's just packaging.
But if you get one not from the event, there's only 1,000 of those.
Yeah, but I'm saying one is from the celebration, and there is a little bit. So and
the celebration's a little bit of the nostalgia. Well, I said this about. I'm going to throw a question back out at you as we're talking about this, and everybody.
Yeah,
you are watching the market show live. We're going over our May 4th predictions. I'm showing you. You're seeing the DX47. You just see it right here. First one sold $1,980. Lane and I just put up a bunch of near $1,500 sales, not including shipping and taxes on these figures. It is absolute pandemonium with this Sith Apprentice Anakin. And I want to get into where I think that why this is going to come up on Sideshow and why people are going to have a chance to get this in the queue. But everybody, smash that like button. I was also showing you DX34. That's selling for $1,200. A few hundred less. But what is that, Blaine?
Sorry, I got going a little bit too much for the 2 version, but that wasn't going to be my original question. You helped remind me what I was going to ask.
Go ahead, ask it.
If this guy, for the way we could see the pricing, I think this could relate to a comment you were making earlier where it could go. If for some reason this guy does not become available for Sideshow in the U.S. market, because there is a possibility. We don't know right now, because for all the other ones coming out here, even like Galen Erso, it looks to be the same thing. If this guy did not come available for the U.S. market, do you think that could, even though there's going to be 1,000 more out there, because let's be honest, a lot of times in Asia, there are a lot of people who are willing to spend this, but American collectors, most of the time, or if not right now, down the road, usually can get some of the wealth to be able to afford something like this, or is willing to just put on credit card or whatever to buy it. Do you think that could cause the value to go up even a little bit more long term if they don't put it out for the American market?
I think it will. I obviously, the more rare it is, and the more where you're really getting it here from a lot of collectors and Star Wars fans that went to Celebration in Japan and are able to get the figure and bring it back here to the States or in Europe and be able to have these figures and have some available, for sale. I think that helps, but they're still putting out 2,500 of them any way that you slice it. Now, you already know that there's 3,000 of the DX34, and you see where that is selling. And we already seen this, Lane, to answer your question with the DX39 and DX33. So when you add in shipping and taxes and all of that done, you're still, you're seeing those figures starting to lay out anywhere from $725 to $850 with everything in. So if those are going for that, these are, certainly going to go for that regardless. I think it will make it more crazy if they don't offer it here, but I really think they're going to offer this up here, and I'll tell you why.
And we're not
because on Sideshow
it may not be, but I'm just saying.
Here's why I think it will, and I said it earlier in the show, and maybe it won't. But with Sideshow, they put up the Darth Maul Sith Apprentice.
Yep.
And they put out, the Vader, and basically they're saying it's coming soon. So, they said that it would be available. So I believe that it will be. The thing that's interesting about this, why didn't Sideshow put up a special tag, a coming soon for this figure?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Why is that, Lane? I'm going to throw it back at you. Is there a specific reason why they didn't?
I think it may not be coming to this market. I do.
So they would literally, where would they put the other 1,000? I guess is what I'm going to ask you.
Supposedly, 500 is for Hong Kong, 300 is for China. This is a post out that was put out there. Now I don't know if it's accurate or not, but that they would, because I think it's actually the 30th is supposed to be when Hong Kong is going to get their 500 or is going to get their batch, whatever it's going to be. So was that Wednesday? I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, no. So we may see multiple Anakin. We may see.
Well, and that's the other thing we brought up earlier. Because they didn't.
27.
They were clever on this. They didn't give it a nomenclature. They just basically said Anakin,
concept idea possibly or something for it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you look at this figure, I think what makes it really badass, it kind of looks the way he looks in the Ahsoka series, and he also looks the way he looks in Revenge of the Sith. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, well,
they did a really good job.
This is the look he has at the old PS2 Revenge of the Sith game, the dark side ending where Anakin wins. this is what he looks like. He's got the Sith eyes. The Emperor gives him his like his traditional Vader lightsaber, and then he kills the Emperor and takes over and becomes the new ruler of the galaxy. Like I said, I'm hoping that's not the scenario, but because we've seen an RSVP, because Galen Erso sounds like it was the only one that was.
Now, what is? I never saw an RSVP link for this. Is this what?
No,
Charlie
that's what I'm saying. Yes, that's why people believe that the Sith apprentice may not be coming for the U.S. market.
Did they have it up and deleted it?
No, I never saw it up for this guy at all. I've never.
Charlie, let me know if you've seen it. Go ahead and put it in the chat there, Charlie, the Unicorn, or if anyone else you've seen them, go ahead and delete it.
The three that we know are because they've actually done first looks for them and stuff. This is why I think the three we are getting is that dueling Vader, whatever the number is supposed to be for us, the Maul concept, and the Cherry Blossom Stormtrooper. But even the Cherry Blossom Stormtrooper is not the same as the one that we saw at Celebration.
So I'm going to go to the coming soon.
The one we're getting is not coming, with the little, jacket thing. Ours is not going to come with that.
Well, I'm going to try to go to to see what's in coming soon here. Let's see. Let's see if we can go to shop. Coming soon is where? Let's look at this, everyone together.
Yeah, I was going to say just use the Hot Toys, and then you can select coming soon.
Oh, can you really?
Yeah, if you go to figures, select Hot Toys. If it decides to populate, click on Hot Toys, and then pull up the filters, and then you should have an option to choose coming soon.
Let's see here if this comes up, ladies and gentlemen. No, I don't. Let's see here if I can pull that. Coming soon. Recommended. Nope, I can't do that, Lane, for some reason. On mine. I can't do it, but I could pull up everything in here on the Star Wars coming soon. I don't see the Anakin, I guess is the point.
Oh, I found it.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Okay, but here it is. Look, you have. Let's pull these up.
Oh, and the Grogu.
Can you see that? Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Well, I can see the exclusive giveaway.
Thanks for there.
They've got the dueling effect Vader coming soon. They've got Grogu coming soon. It looks like that's recent. They got the Darth Maul concept arc, because I didn't see the Grogu on here the other day. They got the Stormtrooper Cherry Blossom. I don't see Galen Erso, and I don't see the DX-47. Why? That's the question, Lane. Why is that?
There's everybody's Jar Jar.
And I think the reason maybe they're not getting it right, but I really think that they are getting it. Because Sideshow is such a big partner. Why would they not give Sideshow some of the 1,000? Now, they may not get a whole lot. Maybe it'll be like 300 or whatnot. But are you saying, Lane, you're not sure if they're getting it?
I'm not sure at all. Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to get it at all. That's why I was asking before that if we don't get it at all, how could that affect secondary market? Because people are going to have to go.
Well, it's going to give at least 300 to 500 people here not an opportunity to get it. So they're going to have to go to the secondary market, right?
So the price.
But you're only talking. Here's the funny thing: you're asking me that question, but we're talking about maximum 500 pieces because they're going to offer this to Japan. There's only 1,000. There's only 1,000 unless they went ahead and did this. I mean, they could do something as crazy as 700 here. For Sideshow and 300 for, China. But I don't know if they're going to do that, honestly. I mean, don't you think it would make more sense when you talk about China? I talked about Japan earlier, which is popular with Star Wars. It really is. Kind of not as much. It's getting there because of the Mandalorian and Grogu, thanks to, you know, Dave Filoni and John Favreau and everything they've been doing on there, especially with the Mandalorian, the first 3 seasons. But let me ask you this: what is the sense in not making this available here, where Star Wars is pivotal to the culture of the United States and Europe? Lane, where do you think their
I
head
don't
was?
think it makes sense necessarily, but I don't know if there's any could be tying in with the current trade stuff's going on, could have factored into it a little bit too. There, so I mean, to me, it would make sense to. I mean, the way they're doing it, I mean, to me, it makes sense they would do like 300 to Hong Kong and then, or 300 to 400 for Hong Kong.
That's where it would make sense to me.
600 here. I mean, and even then, it's, you know, the term bloodbath is used for trying to go through the queue. That would be one of the worst ever. I mean, that would be one of the worst ever. I mean, you think about the original Anakin, even though it was new with the system, that was still like, you know, 2000 and something or like that for here. I can't even imagine how everything would break.
Let's ask Eric this. Eric, is this your guess, or do you know it's 500? When you say China is getting 500, let me know in the chat if there is if that's actual, which would be which would give us some hope, or if that's your guess.
Mizzleplick had a.
Let's put this up for Mizzle. So what does he say? There's no stock to give Sideshow. Someone did the math. The 1,000 unit extra was already dispersed to Hong Kong, KR, and a few other places in Asia. Wow. So
we don't know if that's official, but I'm just saying that I think I know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
something like that.
We really don't know, but I'll tell you what's telling is what I have up on the screen.
It's not there, and everything
it's not there.
Is.
Now, I will tell you this. There has been times, and Lane, I don't think I need to tell you, where this has happened and it hasn't showed up on here, and then they winded up putting it for sale.
Or the RSVP has gone. Remember, there have been some exclusives where the RSVP went up like the day before the figure was available, where you had to get into the queue. That has happened a couple times for figures, or even 2 days before. So because it's not shown there as far as we can see right now, that doesn't mean on the 30 on, because I don't know about, they would do a queue on the weekend, but during the weekdays, where that doesn't mean on Wednesday on the 30th, we may not suddenly see a Darth Vader Sith Apprentice, as we've been talking about. Let's say we'll say 300 figures is going to be available, and then on Friday, May 2nd, is going to be the queue system starting at like 10 a.m. on Pacific time or something like that. That doesn't mean, because they've done that before. They've put up figures like that where they've done stuff like that. So that doesn't mean they can't, that they won't do something like that. It's just they know the demand for these is not going to be as high as that figure. So they're waiting to the last minute to stick it up, because they may not know exactly, having to work with Hot Toys to set when they can put the figure up. Because remember, it's not going up availability in Hong Kong until Wednesday on the 30th of April is when in Hong Kong it's supposed to be available. So there is a scenario where they release it in Hong Kong that day, but that's also when Sideshow puts up its RSVP saying, hey, in a couple days, you have to be available to be able to get in queue, and we're going to have this number. I mean, can you see that scenario where they would do something like that, Aries? That sound plausible, at least to you?
I think it sounds plausible, and I think, Lane, what they could do is this. I actually am going to go back to something that you said in the last show.
They call him the Wizard.
And as you, the Wizard, Legend Lane, said, you think that they're going to be coming out with the dark side Anakin again. And that's why they were holding back on the sculpted. So look, this Hoth, this trooper from Solo, What do you call that trooper again? The
The
one that they
range trooper.
the Rage Trooper is a perfect example. Because when you talk about too soon, could they, because they were very crafty with the wording on this, so maybe Sideshow knows what they're doing. Maybe they've got other head sculpts with this. Like, look, this isn't the Japan Celebration exclusive. This isn't the 1,000 extra in China. But this is specifically for the Ahsoka series. Here's a sculpted and an extra artisan version for the people in the US, a Sideshow exclusive, and Europe. I could see them doing that, where they're like, no, this is from the Ahsoka series. It's not the one from Japan. It's not the one right here. It's one specifically from there. You could get an artisan, dark side Anakin, and sculpt it if you wish. And they could do it for Revenge of the Sith 20th because they didn't really dub this. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's not connected. There's no Revenge of the Sith.
Well, then they may be coming out. They may have done 10,000 of these head sculpts. And that's what's coming out on May 4th. And what would that do to the world? And maybe that's why that's not on here. You have to wonder, Lane. I'm going to throw that back at you.
There's a lot of different scenarios. Clawing at me like my cat. Pulling at me.
Well, I'm throwing a ball back at you.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think it's one of those things where I would kind of prefer they do that, even if, because I have to say, just as an Anakin head sculpt, just leaving out even the Sith eyes or something, if it had just regular eyes, I really, really like this head sculpt for this Anakin. I think this may be the best Anakin head sculpt we've got yet. And I'd really like to see them put that out in another version, like whether sculpted hair or something, because I'd really like, I want to see more people be able to get, or even this one, even, the Artisan Anakin head sculpt.
Or another one, like Obi-Wan the homie.
Yeah, I would just like them, more people. I like the exclusivity for certain respect for these, but I would like there to be maybe an alternate version that's more readily available for pre-order so people could get it, because that way they may not get the artisan hair or whatever, but people are going to want access to what is the best looking head sculpt for this character or for this actor. They might, and hey, if it's like a $310 figure versus a $400 or almost $500 figure to buy at retail, there are probably a lot of people who wouldn't mind that either, collectors. So I'd like people just have access to get that head sculpt.
Well, let me ask you, I'm going to throw it at you about Jalen Urso. This sold on Friday at 4:17 p.m. It doesn't have anywhere near, Lane, the same amount of hype and FOMO as either Anakin's. And the Anakins have a lot more. But you see 3 bids, so not like it's going up like the other ones like I showed you, but limited to 1,500 units. $570. Where do you see this figure landing at the end of the year? If it, let's say it was, December 20th, where do you think this figure is in the secondary market?
Oh, somewhere between probably $300 to $400.
Mm-hmm.
I
would agree. I don't think
it'll probably the only thing that could hamper this one is if they put out a different uniform Galen Urso, which is for just a general release or something, or a different type, like it's a showcase exclusive where they're using pretty much the same head sculpt, but it's just a slightly different uniform body. I think if they put out something like that, even though it may not be this exact look, I think that would hurt this figure, because Galen Urso is not a big enough. I mean, Galen Urso isn't even like a concept mall or something like that necessarily. For at least that's a very popular character. Galen Urso, he is a good complement, but I think it's a specific type of collector who's going to look for this figure. But if they get another option, I think the value would go down. I do.
Yeah, I do. And let me ask you this. And look, Lane, I don't got to tell you, you're watching everything Hot Toys is doing, particularly last year, since the beginning of last year and so far this year, with everything, all the intellectual properties. Is this really the last Jalen Urso they're going to put out?
Oh, this could be. I mean, they literally apparently did not sell out of these 1,500. He was like maybe on one of the other figures not to sell out.
Well, why does this only have 3 bids bidding it up? I agree with you. I think it's going to be around. I think it'll be a $400 figure, but I don't think it's going to be super super high.
And that's
you
if
know,
that's if this is the only one they do. I could see it going down more. It's not going to be a bargain big figure type thing.
no, hell no.
No, but if they do another Galen with a different uniform or outfit, it might be. And this is not. And hey, for a lot of modern Hot Toys, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Where it might be just a figure that keeps its value, maybe a little bit more.
Here's a bargain bin for you.
Yeah, but
$163.71, Lane.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm going to ask you this is, could you believe the difference? We're talking about a figure that just sold for $1,900. Okay, yeah. And you're seeing all these 1,500s, and and then you see this go for $163.71, and it's freaking Iron Man.
Yeah, and a figure retail is actually more expensive than that Anakin, the Darth Vader Sith Apprentices. This is $485 US originally, so it's more expensive. So just if you were able to buy it for the retail price, so that's a hit, man. Like that's a big hit, and it doesn't help that there's 2 versions of this guy too. With the battle.
It doesn't help that probably the 2.0 of this one is not far about the corner,
no,
and it's going to be your Artisan version. I mean, I hate to say it. But they already said that they were going to 2.0 all the Iron Mans anyway. They're going to do it.
Well, they've done most of the original 7, and even are starting to do, or almost, I guess they're technically 2.0, but the 2.0s were the original for a lot of the Iron Mans, when they did them in diecast. That was technically kind of the 2.0. But, yeah, they're starting to do like, they did 42 last year, the Heartbreaker armor. This is kind of heartbreaking because it just, and that's what the kind of the painful thing is, because this Iron Man is actually a really good figure, but that's part of the problem with there being so many Hot Toys releases. Is just there are a lot of really good figures, but a lot of their value, or not even their value on secondary market, but you just forget about a lot of the figures because there's so many of them. Think about the Ahsoka line. That's kind of becoming kind of like the Mando, it's becoming kind of like the Mando figures where they're reaching in stock, even if they're doing lesser numbers of them.
I was going to pull up a Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Was that the?
It wasn't 100? Letting me pull it up, but she sold for about $130 less than this, and but then you go to this one, the new Wonder Woman, the Wonder, the Warner Brother 100, and you got that one going for. There was just a listing put up. I had it up earlier, and but they just had a new listing put up for $1,500. Excuse me, $1,300. Excuse me, and there's already 10 people watching it. Just yesterday. That's crazy. It's just such a difference, Lane, from the mechanism that they used to do. But and here's the thing. What they have to do because of this situation is they've got to come out. They can't produce, I can't even say how many of these they've made. Let's say, I don't know. I'm just going to throw a number out there, 50,000 of them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Of this particular Iron Man. And then if Sideshow, places a purchase order with Hot Toys, and then they're just sitting on I just threw out a number. I have no idea. 50,000, okay? And then they're not selling, and then there's nothing else to produce, then Hot Toys isn't manufacturing. There's nothing going on. There's no money being exchanged. There's no production. There's no cost of goods sold. There's nothing. Now with more and more announcements, but less production of those announcements, with more 2.0s, and more different variations and all kinds of stuff out the wazoo. This is where you keep Blaine those manufacturing lines up and running. This is where you keep those shipments coming in. This is where you can keep those pre-orders up and going. And it's just so many different variations. So it's just like it's so weird to look at this because it's almost like it changed overnight. And there were a lot of factors. You know, you got COVID, you got the economy, all kinds of reasons why. But this is the new era we live in. You know, we're going from, you know, what you're seeing here to again, you know, what we're seeing you know, with something like this, which is just I don't even know if a complete 180 is the right term. It's just crazy.
Well, something like that WB 100 Wonder Woman lends to your like kind of thing where your kind of thing where these figures, it may not just be like here in the short term because of kind of the hype and all that kind of stuff, where the figure is not going to stay expensive because we're well past the hype time of WB 100 Wonder Woman. I mean, she's going to be out 2 years in August or so, you know, when she came out. And that's still one people are willing to pay for.
You see
So-
that Charlie the Unicorn says when Galen Urso shows up in Andor season 2, this will spike in value. I agree, especially with all these Rogue One releases. I think they're going to do Charlie, so we'll have to see how that goes. And Preston mentions this as he's talking with Thomas Houston, that he's thinking that this was originally be an Ahsoka release. Well, look, you know, like Lane pointed out in here, guys, there is no direct tag to Revenge of the Sith. Last time I checked, there is a 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Lane, would they be, I'm going to ask you straight up, okay? Could they lawfully put out and rightfully put out a Revenge of the Sith Dark Side Anakin sculpted in regular and it not be this one? Could they do it? Would they do it? Now they
well, if they do a dark side, I think they're going to use the sculpt, but it might be sculpted instead of being like actual artisan.
So you think that they would do this thing, and maybe that's why we didn't get the sculpted versions, because the States is getting sculpted Anakin.
Mm-hmm. Or
I could see them definitely doing that.
Or revenge, like a Revenge of the Sith release would be a sculpted version, which would be a more general pre-order. That because I can kind of see that, because that's, you know, Hot Toys getting their full course meal and getting their cake and eating both, because they got to show off something a grade A. Also show off their artisan stuff again, like their artisan line and stuff. With that Anakin, they can show, look how popular these are. But by doing a sculpted version, but Revenge of the Sith 20th, they can say, hey, here's this new sculpt that looks gorgeous. And now here's a version that's like $350, and maybe they'll have some special like base or something for it that's different than the droid base, like with the old one. And they can go, here you go. And people will pre-order it. They can do a general pre-order and people will get it, and it'll come out next year and people will be happy.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. I just pulled up the Wonder Woman, right? And you get all these $1,000 or more figures, and I watch them sell. But here's something that's very telling. I'll kind of blow it up. You can see some of these sellers here. 3 hours left on a Wonder Woman 84. And, you know, like that Iron Man, $160.50 with 43 bids. So just people are not willing to pay for the money on those. And here's another one from a familiar seller. 22 hours left, only at $112. And my computer's going nuts here. And 50 cents. So very, very interesting. And then when you look at the Warner Brothers, you know, 100, if I can get to any of them, you're seeing these prices. There's that $1,500 one. Actually, Toys for Adults has a pretty good price on this at $1,198. So it's a huge difference, Lane, because of these exclusive numbers. And a lot of people consider this your first Artisan, if you will. I have it. It's an amazing figure. But again, if they would have made 20,000 of these, Lane, would it even be going for retail? Even though it's Artisan. And I say no. It's the limited number that's doing it. And I think we lost Lane, which is why he's not answering me, but he will be back. So with his connection. But look, man, we got a lot freaking in here. We're rocking and rolling with the market show live. So ask Aries anything. Go ahead and do that. You're seeing the crazy secondary market right now with a lot of the older releases having a hard time breaking just $200. But you're seeing a lot of the new releases that are becoming instant grails because, again, of the more and more announcements, but the way less production of those announcements with more 2.0s and all kinds of stuff. And Tom Houston puts up here, Tom, this is an interesting comment. You said they have to do yellow eyes instead of the more red-like in Ahsoka. Yeah, I think I should play this for you.
They call him the Wizard.
I really think one of the reasons, Tom, and everyone in the chat, look, I'm going to be real honest with you all. I don't think we're done. I really believe in the United States and Europe, you're going to get a Sith apprentice or a dark side Anakin. They were very clever on the wording. It's not exactly Revenge of the Sith apprentice one. It's not exactly the Ahsoka series, although it has elements of them both. And I really believe, as Legend Lane is back, that the Hot Toys, look, they came out with this trooper. This is a perfect example. I'm going to pull it up to go in this conversation lane here. I'm going to pull this up onto the screen, and I have to first get to the Hot Toys Facebook page. But we need to talk about this as it relates, Lane, to this DX34 and DX47, because I think they're going to do the same thing when it comes to these Anakin figures. I really, really do. And let's pull it up. There it is. There it is.
Yep.
And look, is it too soon? And you messaged me about this. We talked about it. If I can get to it here, with my computer. There's Rex. Let's get to it. There it is here. Look, they just gave us an exclusive. Now, mind you, it's a little bit different. I think they could do the same thing with the Anakin. And I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be Artisan, but there's part of me. You didn't think they were going to do this either, did you?
Nope.
Okay. So how would you be like, would you spill coffee if they gave you an Artisan Anakin here, but they dubbed it different than the Japan exclusive? Or would you be like, oh, that's weird, but you know what? It's not totally unexpected.
Probably weird, not totally unexpected.
Exactly. So I actually think your theory, and going back to it, but I think it's very interesting, so I'm bringing it up again, with the fact that, they can give us the sculpted versions here. I think that's the why wouldn't they give you sculpted with the Japan exclusives? Why?
Yeah, I mean,
why didn't they give you the original? I think they were planning this all along, and I think you're going to get your sculpted versions here, but I wouldn't put it past them I'm just being honest with you. But they just did this here. They gave you one that's not exclusive. Here it is. Here it is. Sometimes you can't live in denial. You know, you have to live in the reality of where we are. And the reality is they are 2.0ing everything. They're giving you variants out the wazoo. And a lot of times when they start doing a trend like this, you're probably going to see the trend carry over to other releases. So could this happen with the Anakin?
Could be. I mean, it like Hot Toys. You can never tell. I mean, when I looked at this one, I think is the actual fur on the coat a little bit darker or something, or is the coat a little bit darker?
Yeah, and I think the
original
weathering
one.
on the helmet is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little bit
And
darker. I think
obviously
it's more white on the original.
If you do the
exclusive,
because you see they're doing this again like they did with the blade from Deadpool
yeah,
and Wolverine.
yeah.
First edition, they're including the back because I haven't watched Andor yet, but I've seen the scene. I think he's just wearing regular boots actually in the Andor show, the one you see of this guy. But if they were to, they're offering you the mag boots. Eventually, I don't know about that. I don't know if we're ever going to see Artisan Bad Batch figure necessarily, but
they do call the single sword rifle.
They call him the Wizard.
I mean, they're doing that first edition like that was with the original blade sword, and this one, well, it looks like a big enough bazooka. I'm gonna disagree with you maybe a little bit there, Charlie the Unicorn. But they're doing the this with that first. How do you feel on these first edition things that they're doing, like to try and FOMO you in the first 30 days to pre-order the figure, since they're going to have the regular boots and they're going to have the mag boots?
I don't fall for it. I could do without it.
Yeah.
And eventually somebody will put it up on eBay a couple of years later where you could get the boots for $30-$40. So they will not force me to get an NRD because of an exclusive pouch or an exclusive this or some kind of damn coin or whatnot. No. Not an Artisan or an exclusive version. Just, yes.
Where that's it. Like, that's it.
You get
that or that thing.
I joined the queue for the freaking the Black Widow, okay, the Scarlett Johansson Artisan.
Yeah.
So my number got me to the one with only 2,000, but it doesn't have Thanos' gauntlet. I mean the Infinity Stone thing, the Iron Man, whatever it was that Black Widow comes.
The Iron Man thing that was not in the movie, but was a concept thing.
I could care less. I am just happy. I am getting the Artisan Black Widow. Even though I'm not getting the more deluxe one. Who cares?
It's the extra piece. Like this one, I just mixed it on the 30-day thing that they're doing this in. I was the same way with the blade because, to me it's even more than like. I mean, they've done this for. Think about the exclusive. Remember, now it's not exactly the same thing, but those stupid coin versions they had for the Dark Side event. It's like you had to do it within a couple of weeks for the figure, and you had to do it from Sideshow, or you're just going to get the quote regular edition. Well, that didn't stop me very much because, like, I ordered Darth Maul from my LCS. The LCS from where to get it because I was like, well, I can pay it off. I can pay it off over time much easier through my LCS. So whatever. Well, that would be interesting seeing the clones.
Yeah.
There. I don't know how I would be having to remove repeatedly, the hair there where you got to. That's the only thing that has me worried with these Artisan Anakins is, is the body has those stupid modern head connectors where you got to match them up. So you're going to have to put some finger pressure on the hair to connect it directly and get it locked in on the body, which is, if you don't like futzing with the hair, that might be a little thing where you're like, a little bit, because you might mess it up a tiny bit when you're connecting it. I would really like to see them. I think it's. I mean, for a trooper for this, I don't know if we're really all going to complain because honestly, do we think more than 2,500 people are necessarily going to pre-order this figure when it's all said and done? Necessarily, Andor. There's a reason they didn't put any figures out for Andor season 1. I don't know if enough eyeballs were on it. I'm super happy that they're actually doing some figures for Andor, even if they're, mostly been 2.0 like K2SO, or, they're putting this guy out probably because they did all the work and finally finished up the solo version. So I'm not going to knock them for doing it.
Yeah, and look, it's
totally looks. I got to say that Rex from Ahsoka looks great. I think they did that figure looked like it came out.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I got to lower it.
Copyright claim.
There you go.
That's the only thing is having to attend. Now, so Aries, you have the Artisan, correct? Already, you got that one, back a little bit. One thing I've heard, if you stop right now for a second, could you stop with is some people, well, too late, can't do it. Have said there's a slight coloration difference between the head sculpt and the neck for this guy.
Well, it's interesting how much they're touting this guy here.
Yep.
But it's not going to be available in the US market. But I actually think, and my whole opinion with this is, the more I think about it, I think you're onto something with the original Dark Side version, whether they call him Dark Side or they keep it with the Sith Apprentice or they just call him Darth Vader, and don't call him Sith Apprentice. And I think that they could give us releases of Darth Vader directly and specifically and only related to the Revenge of the Sith. I actually think one of the bombshells that we're going to see, and I do think it's going to be another prediction for May 4th, is going to be, it's going to blow the internet up. It's going to be Darth Vader with the full Hayden Christensen head sculpt on the med bed of the Emperor Rescue. Explosion like that and kind of blow up the internet. But I think for how much they're touting those figures and their work, I think there's other variations. Because here's the thing, I'm going to go back to my own analogy with everything they're doing. More and more announcements, less production of those announcements, which is what we're seeing. But then a lot of different variations, Lane. Is it possible that could be happening with these Anakin's? Could we be seeing it?
Anything is possible. How likely, I don't know. Because Hot Toys is going to Hot Toys. And there often will be times we might go, what are they doing? Why are they doing? What's come out? Well, you got to wait and see. Because as we were talking about earlier, it's always conceivable we haven't seen RSVP for the Sith Apprentice because they might have a different variation that's meant for here. Could be a similar figure, but could be a different name or whatever. I'm really, now to be devil's advocate, it is possible for May the 4th right now, this upcoming week. The main thing could be those exclusives from Celebration are the main figures that they're gonna put them up where we can the order cycle for them. That Grogu, because that's gonna be 4 figures. It's not like they're gonna be 0.
After last year, Lane, though, that's why I'm saying, look, I'm gonna be real candid. They could just give us a couple of Star Wars and be done with it
and all that stuff.
But that means they're going to be giving us a ton of Marvel and DC. They're going to be giving us something because they just keep pumping these out. I actually think this May 4th, it's going to be probably insanity with what they put through. And I hate to say it like this. How much does it matter, Lane, with last year being the most Hot Toys announcements in the history of Hot Toys, we got bombasted with so much. I remember they put out General Grievous and they put out Darth Sidious and they put out all this stuff. And we talk about it for 2 days and it's old news. It's passe. It's the past. What's the new one? Now, the real interesting thing is you're starting to see these artisan, these in art type competing figures competing within art that are very, very limited. You're seeing them. We've been talking about the regular Anakin and Sith Apprentice Darth Vader Anakin now for, what has it been, 2 weeks? Maybe more, 3 weeks, even with all these releases. So you're starting to see a lot of the collectors and the industry kind of really lean towards those big drivers. So I'd be very interested to see what they throw at us for May 4th. They know it's big in the US. They know if they're not giving us a Darth Vader DX47 here, that they probably have some pissed off customers in the United States and Europe. What are they going to give us that's perhaps going to make up for that? And maybe you're right. Maybe it's the sculpted versions. And honestly, Lane, I'm going to be honest with you. There are some collectors who prefer sculpted over the hair. So for them, it's going to be.
Yeah, and the thing is, we have so many artisans right now. Like, there have been a lot of artisans from last year. People might be preferring some lesser, and I'm putting in quotes, lesser expensive, because they're all expensive. These figures are all expensive, whether they're a trooper or whatever super deluxe in special packaging. I mean, I think people would be kind of disappointed if all it was some of the, the variants to the Celebration figures, which a lot of them are variants to stuff we've already seen multiple times. I mean, I think that Flower Stormtrooper is actually a really cool looking thing. But what if that one had, that new Range Trooper is also $5 cheaper than the exclusive, which is with more stuff, which in theory, more stuff, which is kind of hilarious.
It is hilarious.
It's also, but it's not quote an exclusive version though. It's a general.
It's almost, and I do mean almost, as funny as this.
You're delicious.
Ciao, boys.
But never forget, Pizza the Hut ate himself to death.
Which
got stuck in his car, his spaceflight vehicle. But I just am interested to see, just because we've been talking, even if that Sith Apprentice Darth Vader does not come here, I don't think that for any collectors we got to check. Don't let that lessen your enthusiasm, because whether it's any one of these others exclusive from Celebration, if there are some of these ones, because they sold out, most of them did too, don't let that dampen any of your enthusiasm for some of these other figures. You may not, care top of your thing be that, like, I don't know, that dueling. If you're really excited for that dueling Darth Vader, be really excited, because that might come available this week where you can get your hands on it. Or if it's that concept mold. Or we don't know what else from Revenge of the Sith might get announced. There's no reason. Or because you don't know what else. There might, like you said, there might be a variant thing that'll be available for everybody to get. Don't let one figure get you down just because maybe one figure didn't come out. Hot Toys is going to throw stuff at us that right now that's all we can see. But there's going to be something that gets announced. I mean, this is just because Hot Toys puts out. So there's going to be an announcement this week where it may not blunt that completely, but we're going to go like this. On Monday night, they're going to say, they're going to say Artisan Obi-Wan is coming. No. We're going to go like this. You're not going to, you're going to say all the Anakin, and you're going to go like this. Artisan Obi-Wan, 2,500, ready for Friday to try and bring it. You're going to go like this, and your eyes are going to focus on this.
From your favorite movie, you're going to get a 2-pack of these guys.
Piece of junk out of the sky! All fighters!
that would
Hux,
be the ultimate
Red.
2-pack.
That would be. Let's
Kylo
play it one
Ren.
more time.
Piece of junk out of the sky! All fighters!
The Last Jedi, Kylo Ren, and General Hux. That is what everybody would be after. And on top of that, just as the icing on the cake to go with that, they're going to do the only 10th anniversary Force Awakens we get is going to be hologram Snoke. The continuing anniversary.
Yeah,
but
you're gonna get Snoke. Honestly, we're probably gonna get this guy again for Revenge of the Sith.
Rude!
And you're probably gonna get another one.
Hello.
Well, when you think about it, though, Revenge of the Sith C-3PO is probably the shiniest he actually ever was. Of at any time, because he had no wear and tear because he was, working for Padme Amidala at that time.
Listen, if Sideshow does, and I pray that they do, I really, really do. If they put up the DX-47 Anakin, whether that's 100 pieces or 300 or 500, a lot of people in the queue are going to be doing this.
Yeah, they're gonna be yelling because they're 0. Actually, just reminding me of that. Thinking about just watching Revenge of the Sith today, I do say Hot Toys needs to put out a figure of R4 from Revenge of the Sith for justice for R4 after Obi-Wan Kenobi got that poor droid killed in the opening, because he's like, let's try and outrun the missile things, but don't do anything too crazy.
Here, let's play. Let's play some clips for these guys. So songwriter goes Baze Valdez. I'll play this.
They call him the Wizard.
And then let's see here. And now Indiana Bones puts up Rose and Finn 2-packs. Let's play this one.
They call him the Wizard.
Oh gosh, that's just too funny.
I'm not going to say. I will say for a second there, Aries. The one thing with the bone mask, I was like, if that's supposed to be a 13 skull, or is that you cosplaying as Ghost from Call of Duty Modern Warfare?
Yeah. Hey, all I'm going to say about the 13th skull and everything that was in the crypt and supposedly not coming out, every one of those freaking things have come out.
All I'm going to say to that, especially a single songwriter, is a friend of mine who was at Celebration. He got a selfie with Howie, and he did mention 2 days in a row he was there. He talked to Howie and told him we need Baze Malbus.
Hey, yeah, we have Baze Malbus. Looks like I got to play this clip right here for everybody. Let's play it.
Well, howdy, partners. This is the In-Art Cowboy. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to 6 Scale Cantina for Aries. Thanks for watching, baby.
Sith Scale Cowboy forgot one thing, though. You forgot one thing. Don't forget as well, everybody in chat, there's also membership as well for 6 Scale Cantina, which you can get exclusive content. I can mention that I was, I think for almost at least 2 years, maybe almost 2.5, or maybe more, 3, was a member. Aries would, 6 Scale Cantina would put out, unboxings. I think you put out specific early release, like unboxing for figures.
I do like unboxings. I do reviews. Yep.
You've done streams just for in the past.
And I do, all kinds of stuff, including, putting out like specific. I got one. I got a bunch that are coming out. Another whole series of why certain figures are coming out. So I put that out. Like I went over the Leia today. So everybody got like an insight, like, oh, he's putting up Prisoner Leia. Well, why do you think it's coming out? Is it just your heart? Well, yeah, that's a big thing. It's not only the heart, but it's the desire. It's the spirit to create something to happen. And it's also all these otherworldly beings and aliens and information from the Hot Toys
you
Wizard.
did have that 1 hour interview with the 13th Skull and also some of the ancient figure experts and stuff too. A lot of crazy stuff. Little few maybe out there theories and everything, but you do get a lot of value. What is current pricing? I still think $3.99 per month.
Yep. It's only $3.99 per month.
So it's you do get a good value, especially since of course Aries has managed to get back onto a more rather like this year has managed to get back onto a regular production schedule for videos, and obviously streams like this we've been pretty good on. So if you guys would be interested, feel free to join up for $3.99. Give it a month, see what content you can get, see if it's something you like. It's always appreciated, helps the channel out, and helps it for where Mr. Aries sets aside time and everything for putting out more content for you guys to see. So just wanted to mention that too. He forgot that, but he was probably having a little too much vodka.
A little too much vodka, and we do got to Lane, you're awesome. I appreciate you bringing that up. I do got to play this for you again.
They call him the Wizard.
And Lane, don't forget last week, and we don't know where we're going to do it. Probably, sometime in May. But Lane was very gracious last week, and we're going to be doing a giveaway. What was it again, Lane? It's
we will be giving away the Dark Knight trilogy Catwoman from Hot Toys figure, which I think might be waitlisted now. I'm not 100% sure.
It is. Yes.
That figure took 3 years. I remember it took 3 years to come out. Oh, boy. But we will be doing a giveaway for that figure sometime in May. We'll get it figured out. And, here on the Market Chart Show, we will let you know exactly how you'll enter it, what you need to be connected to, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And listen, this was a great show.
Yep.
This was an absolutely phenomenal show. And now I got to have some soup for dinner. I think that was some broth for Grogu. And maybe we're going to get this guy for May 4th. Please, Howard, come on.
What's going on here? I'm sorry, sir. It's time for you to leave. And so it is.
Now, the big thing is, though, will you get multiple? Will you get exclusive Bail Organa, senator outfit? And then will we get an exclusive 1500 Bail Organa Revenge of the Sith Jedi Escape outfit figure? Maybe with actual, where an actual diorama where we can set him into his little speeder.
Let's do it together, Lane. And we say,
yes. Hey, guys, it's been great being with you tonight.
It's been great. It's been great. And I love this. Going to continue be doing this on Sundays. Listen, everybody in here, spread the word around. The Dark Jedi, along with Legend Lane, we will be here for May 4th live. And look, they know we've been signing off, but we're still 57 strong. That's in here. Come join us next Sunday. We will be here. Keep an eye on all kinds of stuff this week. Is it possible that the Dark Jedi may jump live if there's some kind of crazy announcement or some kind of weird thing? Keep an eye out on 6 Scale Cantina. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Don't forget to smash that like button. Everybody right now on the way out, go ahead and smash it. It helps the video. So if you all could do that in there, you like the content, do that. Tune in for next Sunday. But Lane, that's about all I got right now. And the Dark Jedi needs to get some dinner. I'm sure you do too. But I am going to close it. If I could find this clip with this clip first, and I got to do this. I don't always. pour coffee and tread water, and you can't even see me shredding. Here's the stars. How are they aligning with the wizard juice? But I don't do all that. I only do it right here at the 6 scale cantina.
And remember, everybody, stay thirsty.
Stay thirsty.
All right. But this is the last time.